Hey everyone, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid Moeddin, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. Now that I've gotten my normal intro out of the way, let's talk about what we're going to be speaking about today. But before we get into the topics and what we're going to be chatting about, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to click that notification bell for all future videos. Now, I'm going to bring on a friend of mine, Aditya, to come chat to me about the press conference because obviously he's been to the press conferences, he covered them, and he obviously he's a lot more in the know with regards to that. I mean, I've watched them, but I didn't watch them live. I obviously watched them afterwards because I go live after every game so that I can speak to you guys straight after the match as soon as possible, do the review show. So Aditya put up his hand and said he would be honored to do so. And I was like, I'm more honored that you're doing it, but it's okay. Let's just use it like that. But at least we have some sort of agreement over there. And he's been going to all the press conferences. So getting him on board is very important to come give us his insight. If you guys want to get your comments seen and heard, please contributed with a live chat. The bottom right hand corner, there's a dollar sign. You can just click on that and then you can give us a comment and I'll read out your comments on the show. But let me just summarize for you what we're going to be talking about today. As you can see in the thumbnail, of course, and as you can see in the headline, we're going to just go over the test series against Sri Lanka, and I'm going to kind of play you clips, or actually I am going to play you clips of Quinton, Kock and Mark Boucher and what they said. I've cut the clips out so that you can get their kind of review of what they thought went well and what didn't go well. And then after each clip, myself and Aditya will obviously talk about it in depth. After the first clip, I'll bring Aditya onto the call, and then we can really get going in with the discussions. We're also going to be talking about Kyle Abbott. Now, everybody knows that Kyle Abbott has obviously signed with the Titans, and we're going to talk about that later on in the show. Just to get you guys know as well, Aditya will be attending the press conference tomorrow with Kyle Abbott. So we're hoping that he's going to be saying quite a bit of things and exposing some of the things that we don't know about his move. But without further ado, let's start off with Mark Boucher. Let's start off with what the positives were that he took out of this particular series. Obviously, there will be quite a few positives with regards to him winning the test series. Obviously, there's always going to be positives. To the guys that are watching now, if you want your live chats to be seen, go to the dollar sign on the bottom right-hand corner of the live chat, and you can have a super chat, and you can obviously contribute with a super chat. Let's get into it. The first clip of Mark Boucher.
Yeah, I think it's good to get a win, first of all, albeit in our own conditions. I think from a batting perspective, it was nice to see quite a few of our batters in the runs, spent a bit of time in the middle. So that would have given them a lot of confidence going into big series in Pakistan, also Australia. So they can build on that momentum. Then with our bowling, I mean, if you look at our bowling attack, there's a handful of games between the guys, so we understand that there's a lot of inexperience there, especially with our KG there. And I think they learned a lot of lessons, and they learned them fairly quickly as well. It's a sort of a group of individuals that is growing, and as long as we see growth, then we're happy. If you look at the first session that they had at Supersport Park, and then to come back in the second innings at Supersport Park, we bowled well in the first innings. Yeah, maybe let it slip a bit yesterday, but I think the way that they responded to a few, wouldn't say harsh words, but words that were needed this morning was good. So I think it's something to grow on. A couple of individual performances which we're very happy about as well. So yeah, I think we'll take this momentum and take a bit of confidence on understanding that there's quite a few different changes we have to make with regards to techniques when we go through to Pakistan. But we'll certainly take the confidence into Pakistan.
So Aditya, something specific there at the end that he said that worries me a little bit, and we're obviously going to talk about this quite in depth, guys, and talk and analyze it, everything that Boucher has said. He took a lot of positives away, obviously, with regards to our batting, and he said also about our bowling being inconsistent and not being very experienced. But what bothered me there is at the end when he said that there are few things that we need to change with regards to techniques before we go to Pakistan. So what do you make of that particular clip of Mark Boucher? When you heard it the first time, what were your thoughts? Were you happy about what he was saying, or were you concerned about certain things?
I think since Mark Boucher has become coach of the Proteas side, he's always been talking about the evolution of technique for all the batsmen. And I think with respect to Pakistan, he may not necessarily have meant technique as much as he meant adapting to conditions, because it's technique is it's an iterative process. You know, you never stop practicing technique, and so I think he may have meant that that he'd want the batsmen to make minor tweaks before they go to Pakistan, because Pakistan obviously will have different conditions, and therefore what they've witnessed in these two tests here with variable bounce and seaming pitches may not necessarily be the case in Pakistan, where none of this current team have played Test cricket ever. And interestingly, it happened to be Boucher's debut tour. So it'll be interesting to see how they assess conditions and play that.
Because I mean, I had a conversation about this before, and obviously, Mr. Cricket Connoisseur Aaron obviously told us that he was watching the Pakistan Super League quite closely, and he said that particularly in Karachi, where I think they're having their first test over there, isn't it? I think. Or am I mistaken? No, am I talking crap here? Let me just.
Rawalpindi.
Yeah. So let me just bring up the. Oh, long day. Let me just bring up the fixtures quickly, if I still have them available to us. Yeah, the first one will be in Karachi. I thought I got it completely wrong. Sure. So anyway, the first one will be in Karachi, and he was talking about the particular conditions over there, and he said that they're actually quite conducive to spin. And I wanted to know, I don't know how much you've seen with regards to Pakistan conditions, because like, even though Pakistan and India are quite close together, obviously it's a large area of land. So you can't obviously say that the conditions are going to be the same in every single subcontinent condition that you play in. It will obviously be different according to different areas. Just like in South Africa, you have Durban that has a different type of pitch to Wanderers and Centurion in Cape Town. So it's a large area we're talking about. So when we talk about going to the subcontinent and we're saying, yeah, there's spinning condition, it's not necessarily the case for every single ground that you play. Now, Pakistan has produced a lot of seamers, a lot more successful seamers than spinners. So what do you think is the reason for that? Because, I mean, I wouldn't have been concerned if South Africa was facing a seaming Pakistan attack. I think South Africa is generally good against seamers. I would be more concerned about the spin bowlers in the side because of it playing in the subcontinent. But generally speaking, what are your thoughts on the conditions, particularly at Karachi and as well as Rawalpindi? Do you know a lot about those two grounds?
Yes. So in recent years, we haven't seen international cricket being played in, but at least not significant amounts of international cricket. We've seen a couple of tests recently in Rawalpindi and in Karachi. And historically, Karachi has been a very good batting wicket. You know, it's been pretty flat, and while there is a little bit of assistance, but generally conditions are favorable for batting. What the curators prepare for this test match remains to be seen. But again, my experience of it comes from series that were perhaps 10 or 15 years ago, because we haven't had international cricket being played there for a long time. And Rawalpindi is known to assist the quicks, so we'll have to see how that goes. But
it's a proper test there for South Africa. It's like two polar opposites.
But I know that there's a lot of talk about it being like this serious challenge for South Africa, but I actually think that's overstating that. Because we need to realize that even Pakistan for the last decade has played all their home games in the UAE. So this current lot of Pakistani cricketers is not as familiar as we think that they might be. That's
100% true, and that's proper analysis, guys. Because that's what I want to do when we talk about analysis. Because I don't think people look at things as deeply as that. We look at face value, we look at what people say, and when we look what the media says, and we kind of just accept it in a way. I mean, how many people have actually can speak about this particular test with confidence that they understand the conditions and everything? I don't think a lot can. Even if Boucher gives his insight into what he felt in Pakistan, it's definitely not going to be the same case. What I do like is that the T20 series is all going to be on the same ground, but we'll talk about that a little later. Let's flip it, because the one of the journalists that asked the question flipped this question afterwards, and he asked what were some of the learnings, because he obviously spoke about some of the positives. What are some of the learnings that South Africa took out of this particular test series?
Yeah, look, I think technically our batters, we can always keep working. As I said, going into different conditions. I thought, the techniques were quite solid on tough wickets. If bowlers got the ball in the right areas on these 2 wickets that we played on, it's always going to be tough. I thought technically we were fairly good. And then, the bowling, as I said, we've got a young group, so we need to just keep things nice and simple, and almost get our own DNA that we need to enforce onto the bowlers in order for us to get the best out of all different conditions that we play on. So by no means will be a finished product. There's still a lot of hard work to be done, and the guys understand that as well. We're going to make mistakes along the way, and as long as we keep learning from those mistakes and hope we don't repeat them, then we're heading in the right direction.
Learn from the mistakes. Oh Lord. Okay, so Mark Boucher talking very positively about South Africa. The assessment comes in here on we as South Africans need to be careful of the way we assess South Africa, and especially in this particular series, I feel, because there was a lot of things that Sri Lanka didn't have going for them, particularly with the injuries, particularly not having their best team in the second match. Although I think the Fernandos really put on proper performances against South Africa and really tested the South African batsmen. I have concerns about certain things that Proteas batsmen have been doing over the last couple of years. Is this patience game. When they need to play a patient game, they seem to not learn from the guys ahead of them. So, for example, Dean Elgar played an excellent knock in this particular series. And automatically you could see the way you should be playing on this pitch. And when Dean Elgar lost his wicket, particularly, he played the ball away from his body when he shouldn't have. And it wasn't necessarily a great delivery to go out to. Even when they spoke about it, Quinton, I think, and Boucher spoke about it, some of the wickets were loose shots. Not all of them were necessarily shots that they should have went out to. So my concern is that on how the other batsmen below Dean and below Aiden assess the situation based on what is happening over there. So after Dean Elgar's wicket, as well as after Aiden's wicket, they should have looked at the situation and said, look here, if the ball is pitching on fourth stump, it's most likely going to move away from the body because they're looking for us to play. It's very seldomly that they did in-swingers, and when they did, they got a spot on, and it was almost like they set you up. They like, especially I would look at Lutus Apamla when he took out the tail. He set up the bowlers beautifully. So he'd bowl a ball that swings in from fourth stump, and it would just miss the bat, outside edge of the bat. And he'll go for consistency, beating it on that exact same spot, and then he knocked over the off stump. So that's the certain things that you need to learn from. But especially when at the beginning with the new ball, there were a lot of the balls were going away from the batsman. A lot of them were angling towards first slip. So why play at it then? I mean, I think they needed to maybe learn how to leave more. And that's something that South African batsmen need to do. I know they understand they want to play this attacking brand of cricket, but I feel like attacking brand of cricket can only be played when the conditions allow you to play that type of game, or when the opposition allows you to play that type of game, because it's about punishing the balls that are loose. It's punishing the bowler when they're off their lines. It's punishing the bowler when they're too short or too wide. It's not necessarily about forcing an aggressive style. And that's what I feel that South Africa's been doing quite a lot. They did it against England, I feel. They forced a style of cricket instead of playing the conditions. And you can talk about this cross format because it's a mentality thing. It's an approach. You can take the mentality that the players have and you can look cross format. That doesn't matter what format it is in that case, because it's a mentality of the style of cricket you want to play. For example, against England, we saw how David Malan changed his game when the pitch was a bit slower. They didn't come out swinging. He took his time. He looked for the gaps. He played the ball on the ground. He didn't try to clear the the field is every single time you hit the ball. There's certain things that we need to learn, and that will come with experience. Because if you look at the batting lineup that South Africa has, we have a very inexperienced batting lineup. But I feel that the youngsters really need to be able to learn from the guys above them. What do you think about Boucher's comments with regards to that?
See, generally, he was impressed with the batting, and although he was disappointed with the collapse that was triggered after Dean Elgar's wicket, and some of them he attributed to lazy shots in his words. But he also did mention that the pitch was more difficult than it might have appeared on the outside. Generally we feel like a depleted Sri Lanka bowling attack, which is not known for its bowling and seaming conditions,
Yeah.
Will be a walk in the park. It wasn't. They put on a more disciplined effort than most people would have imagined. And the second thing is that, at least in the commentary, a lot of people are going after Rassie, for a slow start, and they're calling it a lack of intent and all of that. But upon reflection, you can see that Rassie's approach was wise. It was mature batting.
Yeah.
He scored 3 on commentary, and Ramesh Raja and Kaya Antini going after him. They were like, he's made 3 of 30. Now he's taken up those deliveries, but he can't lose his wicket now. He has to continue, otherwise it'll all go for waste. He's playing a test match, which is on its first day, and we're talking about trying to get a batsman to speed things up. That's not necessary. So clearly Rassie and Elgar showed how batsmen should be batting on this pitch, but it was also very difficult for incoming batsmen to come in and score runs. But I think the lesson for the Proteas, in my view, is that they have to make a conscious effort of not losing wickets in clumps. That to me is so. For example, after Elgar went, I think that shot that Rassie played to get out eventually, leg side, hit the glove. I think that was unnecessary, and that's a terrible way to get out in Test cricket generally. So I think that's something that the Proteas need to avoid.
Yeah, I mean, that's when they talk about smart cricket. That's exactly what they're talking about, smart cricket, knowing what to do in what situation. Because if Rassie pushes on, we score a lot more runs. If Rassie just keeps his head over there. I just want to look at Temba Bavuma's stats in Asia quickly. So he's played 8 matches in Asia, and he scored a total of 2 half centuries. So he averages 23 in 8 games. I wouldn't really say that you can really judge that necessarily, because it's such a little. It's so little matches that he's played. I mean, it's not like Temba's played 50, 60 matches for South Africa. I would say it's been quite a difficult situation, because on last night's podcast, for example, Sweli Gully, we had Joey Rasdin that spoke about Temba maybe batting 3. Now, my argument obviously came into with regards to Temba batting 3 is, if we're going to pick Temba Bavuma, necessarily, as if you think you're going to pick Temba Bavuma, you should bat in his side that he plays for the franchises, for the Lions. So he generally will bat in that position, 3, 4, maybe sometimes if they really need him to open. But generally speaking, that's where he bats in the top order. But they bat him down there because of the fighting spirit that he gives to the side. And I think that's the reason they buy him. And a lot of people want to talk about quotas and say that that's the reason he's in the side. It's not, because we meet the Black African requirement without Temba Bavuma. I just want to let people know that that's the case. But let's go into Quinton and what Quinton said. I mean, Mr. Cool. I laughed when you said me the opening line. I really laughed, because I was like, yes, so this is the typical thing that Quinton would say. It's like, yeah, it was quite cool. His first his captaincy was quite cool. So we can see, because in the previous one he said that he finds Test captaincy a lot easier than white ball captaincy, which was quite interesting. But this is Quinton's assessment of the game.
I think so. I think obviously we won the series, and we did win it pretty convincingly, but I still don't think we played our best cricket. Obviously, we put ourselves under necessary pressures at the wrong times. I think when you play against against really the top teams in the world. They really put you under pressure. They keep you under pressure for as long as they can. And I think that's all something that we can judge ourselves on. While that we still won the Test series, which is still good to see. We haven't won a Test series in a while, and we haven't played Test cricket in a while. So it was a good start the way I see it. And yeah, now going forward, I'm sure we'll just grow from strength to strength.
I just want to give his learnings too.
Batters were pretty much knew what needed to get done and stood their way. I think the bowlers learned a lot on how to bowl on certain wickets at certain times. I think that's one of the key things. I think because we had such a young bowling lineup, we needed our bowlers to really step up. All of them, we didn't really have a leader attack, even though we had Lungi and Anna, but they're still fairly new to the Test lineup. But they came forward. They bowled really well. They also made mistakes and they learned from them, which was good to see. So it was pretty good to see from the bowler side.
Interesting. Aditya, what do you make of that? Because I know they've been talking a lot about the inexperience in our bowling lineup. Now, I know that particularly for bowlers, for any inexperienced players at the moment in South African cricket in general, the only way they're going to learn is by playing international cricket. We can't be dropping guys left, right, and center just because of one bad game or two bad games. I don't think that's fair, because at the moment, if you are going to allow players like Jacques Callis and players like Sean Pollock and whoever the case may be come into an experienced side and have time to settle in, even though they played poorly, then how can you not give younger guys or inexperienced guys an extended run in a team that doesn't have the same experience? It just doesn't make sense to me. So, I think they have to give guys extended runs. And this tour to Pakistan, I think from an assessing conditions point of view, I know that you said that Pakistan might not be, they're in the same boat because they haven't played there in so long. I think still, with regards to assessing the conditions and playing according to the conditions, this bunch of youngsters or this team is going to learn a hell of a lot. I wanted to pose the question after you're done with this. I want to pose another question to you. But just what's your thoughts on what Quinton said and Quinton's press conference in general?
So what stood out to me in that press conference was that he said there were times when the team put themselves under unnecessary pressure. That to me was a standout, because I think the expectation from the team, and I guess within the team also, would be that they'd want to defeat Sri Lanka clinically and convincingly, which eventually you look at the stats and you'd be like, yeah, that happened. But if you look at each performance in isolation, a Sri Lankan team, a subcontinent team that isn't even the strongest in the subcontinent, has managed to come to South Africa and score 396 in the first innings, with their main batsman getting retired out. So if he hadn't been retired hurt, maybe they would have gone to 450 or 475. So that's one. In the second test match, 9 wickets were lost for 84 runs. Now, neither of these performances had an overall impact on the 2-0 victory. But Quinton's assessment was spot on there, in that sometimes not getting your length right as a bowler or playing loose shots, 3 or 4 batsmen playing loose shots can have ramifications for a game. It didn't cost them this time, but you play against stronger opposition, Australia, England, India, New Zealand. That will cost you. So I think that was spot on. But overall, he was quite pleased that most of the batsmen got runs. The bowlers, even though they made mistakes, they were able to learn quickly. And I think ultimately that's what you want to see. And it was pretty consistent with what Boucher said in his press conference also.
Mm-hmm. True. I'm looking back at Temba Bavuma's stats because I see some of the comments over here, and I'm looking back at these stats with regards to how we did back in the day when he was still playing back in the day when he was selected. But I think I see the one season over here in 2011, 2012. He averaged 43, scored 300s and 250s. That's 11 back in 11-12. I know he got picked in 2014 to play tests. Let's just look around back then at his stats over there. In 2014, 2015, he scored an average of 62 in 10 games. That's 300s and 450s. I think that's actually quite phenomenal in first-class cricket to see it back then. So, yes, to an extent, maybe you can say that he was selected because of quotas and because of the situation back then. But I think that people looked at Temba, always seen and respected Temba as this fighting spirit type of guy, the guy that puts his body on the line in a way and really grinds out results. When we've needed him, he has performed. But I think that these guys obviously need an extended run. That's very important that they do get that. Right now, you're right, because there is nowhere in the world that you will be able to play. I spoke to Aaron about it as well when I said that even in county cricket, it's very seldom that you're going to get 4 world-class bowlers bowling at you. 4. You maybe have 2, maybe have 1 that will bowl at you, and then maybe a third if you're very lucky. But you'll have 4 or 5 world-class bowlers coming at you, bowling with consistency, bowling with pace. Especially looking at Australia, a Mitchell Starker, a Cummins, and a Hazelwood bowling at you consistently on the same spot with pace. There's nowhere else in the world but in the middle that you can face that. That is not something that you can pick up in domestic cricket. No matter how good your domestic league is, I don't think anywhere in the world that you can face that. So by giving these guys, like with Zubair Hamza, I think it was very unfair to him that after they should have given him that test series to find his feet. Maybe even protect him. My concern there was that they should have pushed, maybe in that situation, moved the more experienced batsman Temba Bavuma up to 3, and then put Hamza at 6 to find his feet. Because I mean, Pope did that. They did that with Pope against South Africa. They allowed him because they knew they're coming to South Africa on seaming wickets, on difficult wickets, where the youngster might struggle, who is normally a top order batsman. So I think that that's what they need to do with some of our players, and maybe you have to think about that down the line. Let's talk about the bowling, because obviously specifically they were talking about bowling over here. And I'm going to particularly pick out Luto and Vian, because those are the two, I think those are the pick of the bowlers for South Africa, I feel, in both series, if you're looking at consistency. Let's go with Luto first and what Mark Boucher had to say about Luto, which I was very actually impressed with what he said about Luto.
It's difficult to judge Luto on his first day of Test cricket. I think there were so many butterflies and nerves, and certain people handle those sort of feelings in different ways. Luto's very young, so you wouldn't have felt the intensity of those sort of butterflies, and probably never ever felt like that, especially because Test cricket means such a lot to him. So that's a good sign for me when a guy's so passionate about playing for his country, especially for test match. It's the signs there straight away that it means a lot to him. Throughout the time, he's also very young, and he's got to work on his lines and his lengths. But he's one of the pluses for me. He's from where he started to where he is now. I think he's learned a hell of a lot in the last 2 games. Yesterday, I thought, although he went for a few runs, I thought his lines were a lot better. Maybe just got guilty of searching for wickets, trying to swing the ball too much rather than hit the deck hard. But I thought his lines were a lot better, especially to left-handers. And came in today and cleaned the tail up, which he's done very well. I mean, it's one thing saying cleaning the tail up. The areas that he's hitting was always asking questions. There's some decent pace as well. So he's certainly one that has learned a hell of a lot over these 2 Test matches, which can only stand us in good stead for the future.
Now, by no means am I saying that Luto Sapamla should be picked first name on the team sheet over here. KG walks right back into that side. I think Lungi, Andrich, and KG are 3 best bowlers in the country currently. That's my opinion on it. But I'm really impressed. Now, I look at players in a different way. I try to look at the unseen factors that make them who they are. I don't necessarily look at their technique, or I don't necessarily only look at that. Obviously, I look at it. Obviously, I do judge them on that, and I see the type of lines that they bowl and the speed that they bowl and all of those type of things. But it's attitude, it's mindset. That's what I look at. And when Luto, because you need to understand, guys, what Luto had to go through leading up to this selection. There was first and foremost, he had to sit on the bench for majority of the season against the Lions. He only played 2 matches. Then he gets selected for South Africa when there were a couple of injuries in the South African lineup. Not his fault, by the way. He gets an abuse on Twitter and on social media for his selection in the side, like it's his fault, first and foremost. And don't think that he didn't see it. He probably would have seen it. He would have seen what people said about him. And then you have to open the bowling, which I thought was a bad move on Quinton's part. But then in the end, it kind of worked out because it kind of made him fight back the way he did. It gave him the opportunity to fight back the way he did. That shows character. That shows mindset, and that shows attitude to the T and passion. Because for you to go for so many runs in your opening spell, come back and perform the way you did, and then bowl consistently like that throughout the rest of the series. Don't just look at that they're batting against that Sri Lanka was batting and the Sri Lanka wasn't batting well. Look at the where they were pitching that ball, where Pamela was pitching that ball. It's so important. Like Boucher said over there, and that's what I liked about what he said, is that he was picking good lines, he was picking good lengths, especially to the left-handers who are a little bit more tricky to bowl to if you're a right-hander. That's some of the takes that I took out of it, Aditya. What are your thoughts of Luto and what Boucher said about Luto?
Luther Spamler is a fantastic test bowler, and he should be given a long run, should be given a long rope, and he should be given every opportunity possible to be able to play in that South African team in various conditions. Absolutely no question about it. I was actually happy that he went for runs in his first innings, because he came back a better bowler in the second test match. So you can tell immediately, and not even second test match, he came back a better bowler in the second innings of that first test match. So you can tell that, with you put a hand around the shoulder and you tell him that, listen, don't worry about it. You're going to be selected for the next couple of test matches. We just want you to get better. You have a long future for South African cricket. I think that's just the sort of motivation that he needs, and I'm sure Boucher is going to give that to him, because he understands how passionate Luther Spamla is about playing for South Africa. But more importantly, what I hope for over a period of time is that in this modern era of cricket, where we talk so much about data analytics and we talk about Twitter. Mitchell Stark, before the India series, said that the last time India was in Australia, he didn't perform to potential because he wasn't feeling great about his game and he felt like he had 47 bowling coaches. That's something I feel like Luther will have to learn to manage over time, and just try to keep things as simple as possible, which Andrik had mentioned in his press conference as well, and Boucher's just in his press conference as well, that they just want to keep things nice and simple, not focus on too many extraneous factors and just go out there and bowl, which I think is the sort of attitude that Boucher has brought to this team, and it's going to work for the bowlers big time.
Mm-hmm. Just a reminder to everybody out there, that's some excellent points from Aditya, and that deserves a like. Smash that like button, guys. Please smash that like button. Click subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you want your comments to be seen, please click on the super chat and let your comments be read out live on the show. I won't be able to get to everybody's comments. That's the problem. That's the only reason why I've opened up super chats, because I was missing some of your comments, and I don't think that's fair on you guys. So I'm going to go into Wiaan Mulder, because I'm very excited about this particular thing and what Boucher said over here. Because before I play Boucher's thing, I also want to tell you guys, when I saw Wiaan Mulder, it was at Majolo Week. And when I initially saw him play for Gauteng, I'm talking about the under 19s, etc. He batted way up in the order. He batted 3, batted 4, batted 5. He was a top order batsman that could bowl. That was my assessment of Wiaan Mulder. It wasn't a bowler that could bat. That was always my assessment of Wiaan Mulder. So let's just play Boucher's piece and clip and see what he had to say also about Wiaan.
Yeah, Wiaan was fantastic for us, and I think sometimes we look at other players, but I mean Wiaan was always there to make the breakthroughs. It's great to have all-rounder options in any team. I think it's something that South African cricket have always been really strong at is giving opportunities to all-rounders. We spoke about against England, albeit in white ball cricket, we struggled for all-rounders, and we saw the gaps that left in the team. So to have a guy like Bian, who's very young, but the talent is obviously there. He's been away from the game for quite some time, so he's very hungry to go out there and perform. Let's hope he stays on the park. I mean, our medical team will try to keep him on the park for as long as we can. He's someone that he's so keen to learn, so I think his attitude is great as well. So I see a big future for Bian, and hopefully, having a look at the way that he's performed now, he can continue to do that for South Africa, because they're in a very strong position, especially in that position at number 7. I mean, we haven't really seen his batting side as well, and I think he's a very good batter, probably a batter that effectively could bat in the top 6. But he's young and he'll learn, and we'll keep challenging him in that regard.
There's it. That's what he said. Now, what impressed me about Vian is his consistency. We have to give a shout out to Charles Langeveld for what he's done with his bowlers. I think the way he's improved his bowlers over a short period of time is excellent. Vian Mulder, the way he looks right now compared to where I saw him bowl before, when he was bowling for the Lions, etc., and when he was bowling for Gauteng as a junior, that skill to be able to put the ball on one particular spot consistently is not easy. It's a very difficult skill to acquire. And if that is what Charles Langeveld is getting out of these guys, excellent, eh? What is your thoughts on that, Aditya?
Veer Mulder is the 4th bowler in this lineup, right? We've got 3 pacers. This guy's your 4th bowler. He's your all-rounder. Veer Mulder, in my view, was lethal. He was unplayable, and he was consistently unplayable. I think all the 3 frontline seamers went for runs at some point, and of course they clawed their way back in, and complete credit to them. And they are quality players, we know that. Veer Mulder was probably the most consistent bowler in this series, and he was pitching the ball in the right areas. He was getting the breakthroughs, and he's that guy that any captain is going to turn to when things are tough, and he's going to get results. He just had that. There was a certain confidence in his bowling that I really enjoyed. And there was this one point where I probably went to get like water or something, and I came back, and suddenly I see that Vian's taken 3 for 1. I'm just like, what happened there? That is brilliant. So again, big future ahead for Vian, and we want to see him play for South Africa a lot. Of course, we want to see him bat as well, and I'd be very excited to see what he can bring to the side as a batsman. Obviously, the early speculation has started as Veer Mulder, the next Jacques Kallis. I don't think we need to look for the next Jacques Kallis. Let's just be happy with Veer Mulder. I think South Africa have gotten a proper all-rounder after a really long time, and I think there shouldn't be that pressure on him to average 57 in Test cricket and score 43 Test hundreds. Let's just let him develop his own identity in Test cricket.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think so too, because I think South Africa is in more need of an actual 100% full-out batsman in that number 3 position and number 4 positions right now. They're a guy that can fully focus on his batting and be that key person in the top of the order at the moment. We got lucky with Kallis. It's not often that I don't think we'll ever see a player like Kallis again, or with regards to that, with wickets and batting in the top order. Like obviously we have Serve of Richards and all of those legends back in the day, but they very seldom will you find guys like that. I mean, I think people are concerned, maybe there are a few people that are concerned about Vian's pace, that he maybe doesn't bowl fast enough. But I think if you can be as consistent as that, I don't think you need your pace to be as fast. I mean, when you have KG and you have Nokia bowling at 150 plus, then you have someone like Lungingidi who pushes 140, maybe if he gets lucky. He's a lot slower than he used to be. It's quite funny actually, because when he made his debut against India at Centurion, took a 5-4. He was bowling quickly. He was bowling 143, 145 consistently. He was bowling quite quickly. And I think he lost some of that pace because I feel that he's played so much T20 cricket. Now, this is my theory, and you guys might say that I'm a complete idiot, but this is my theory, is that he's been injured a lot, Lungingidi. So I know the injuries would have obviously affected him, but I think that it's because he's adapted his game a lot for T20 cricket. The slower delivery is one of his main weapons in his arsenal. So he always goes for that slower ball, back of the hand, slower ball, slower delivery, cross seams. He's always going for those type of deliveries. And I think that because he's been perfecting that, it might be almost like he's getting used to bowling those slower deliveries now. So like hitting those 140s consistently is not something that he's been looking to do at T20 cricket. And because he's playing so much T20 cricket, the switch now to Test cricket, I think it's about momentum. I think we'll see him bowl a lot faster maybe in Pakistan now that he's gotten this Test out of he's played a full Test series now. Two Test matches, but he's playing 2 Tests on the trot and he's getting into his rhythm. If he can stay fit, I think he can get those speeds up. What do you think about that, Aditya?
Definitely. I think the challenge with Lungi is that he's a slow starter, and maybe that's mental, or maybe he takes a little bit longer to identify what the right line and length will be on a pitch. I think that to me is the challenge. With respect to his pace, you're right. I think T20 cricket or limited overs cricket, the way it has an impact on batsmen, and with the modern batsman being more of a hands-on player as opposed to having a decisive foot movement. I think that has pace has an impact in T20 cricket. With all your variations and all of that, and maybe that does have a bearing for certain bowlers, and Lungi might be one of them. But I think given Boucher, the taskmaster, he will ensure that Lungi focuses on getting his pace back, because on flat wickets, as I feel fairly confident they will find in Karachi, they're going to need some sort of X factor to rattle Pakistani batsmen, and for that, I think all bowlers collectively are going to have to bowl at the incisive best. So. Lungi, I guess he'll have to have that additional 5 kilometers per hour that he's been missing it.
Yeah, because I remember him bowling quite quickly at the beginning. At the Red Bull Campus Cricket tournament, he was a lot leaner. I think he's put on some muscle. He actually told me in an interview once, I think when I spoke to him, he told me he's hitting the gym a bit. He was looking to get some biceps there for the It was a period when he was injured a lot, when he was very badly injured, man, and he was out for quite some time. He even picked up the guitar to learn the guitar, to sing some, serenade some ladies. So that period. So he went to the gym, hit the gym a bit, and he got bulked up a lot. I see an awesome comment over here. Ban Lungi from going to the IPL. That's it. Let's do that. No, I'm just joking. But let's get into the other breaking news story that broke several hours ago. So it's breaking news on the Daily Show. So let's talk about Kyle Abbott. Kyle Abbott's back, signed for the Titans. I've got a little clip for you guys to play over here from Kyle Abbott. And yeah, him signing, and obviously the coach of the Titans, obviously talking about what Kyle will bring to the side.
I think, like everyone, 2020 was a tough year. For me in particular, I didn't play for nearly 12 months between games, so I was sitting pretty comfortable in Durban doing my fishing and that, and I felt going into this new year really having to try get out my comfort zone, and having chatted to a few people around and having played against the Titans in the past, it's a well-run unit, it's a professional unit, and I felt that it would be a perfect fit for me right now. And huge thanks to the Titans for accepting me and finishing off the season with them. Yeah, absolutely. I think the reputation of the Titans speaks for itself. That trophy cabinet's pretty full, and you know what, to contribute in a competition like this and hopefully put another trophy on that shelf would be awesome. So yeah, no doubt I'll be giving everything I can for my new franchise, and yeah, I really look forward to getting started.
Yeah, definitely. I think Kyle Abbott will add value in his team, and I think he's bringing a lot of experience. I mean, he's been around the block for a long time now. He's represented South Africa, he's played in England, and I think he will bring a wealth of experience, and will help the younger guys to actually grow and be in a better space from a bowling point of view as well. And it's actually encouraging as a bowler knowing that you're next to somebody that has done it. And it just gives you a little bit of comfort knowing that you can actually, go and ask what to do in terms of where you will be at the time, at that moment, under pressure. So to have somebody like him is a no-brainer.
Now, guys, I just want to mention something about Kyle, because I was in the press conference when Kyle decided to sign a Kock deal. Guys that are tuned in, you can get involved with the live chat. Please go to the super chat, please, and organize us some super chats over there. It will really help us going forward. Also, to the guys out there, please become a patron. We really need your support. So go to the link in the description to become a patron. You'll get exclusive content as well from us and exclusive shows that will be directly for our patrons only. So you only get that information and those type of shows if you sign up on our and become a patron. I'm going to talk about Kyle Abbott quickly because why Kyle is the only Kolpak, and now this is my opinion and not the views of Cricket Fanatics magazine, but Kyle is the only Kolpak that I felt that left that could have still played for South Africa. I'm going to say that again. Kyle Abbott, I feel, is the only Kolpak player that could have had an opportunity maybe to be in the South African setup when he left. I don't think Simon Harmer, I don't think Colin Ingram, I don't think Riley Rousseau, I don't think at the points when they left, there were better players than them in that particular team. People say that it's transformation that kept them out, which is a total nonsense. I don't believe that it's transformation that kept them out to that side. I think that in their best positions, there were better players. Colin Ingram would have taken either Abby de Villiers' place, or maybe would have taken Faf's place. If he's going to bat opener, he's going to either take one of the openers, Amala or Quinton the Kock. I don't think he's better than any of those top four. In all honesty, I don't believe that. You would have maybe had to bat 5, and then you're going to have to kick out someone else over there. But ultimately, I believe that those were the best guys that were available at that particular time. People looking at Dwan Olivier. Dwan Olivier played in a series here in South Africa, and they made him look like a king. He bowled short balls to a subcontinent team, and they just couldn't handle the short deliveries. He peppered them with shorter deliveries, and they struggled. And that's how he got majority of his wickets. I think that Olivier obviously didn't, and Olivier, they gave opportunities. And he decided he just didn't want to play for South Africa. That was his own decision to make. He decided to move over. He played in a period when Lungi Ngidi was injured. And I feel that Lungi Ngidi is the type of player that I would pick over Dwan. I think Lungi is a better bowler. In all honesty, that's what I believe. I don't know how other people feel about that. And Otis Gibson would have obviously loved Dwan because of that, because he did exactly what we asked him to do. I don't think that Olivier is the type of bowler that could have adapted his game a lot. I haven't seen him in county cricket. I don't think he's lit up the stage in county cricket necessarily, as much as what people would have said. If I go look at, let me just go have a look at Dwan Olivier's record over here. Now, Dwan is an excellent person. I really enjoyed talking to him. He's a really nice guy, of course. But I haven't really necessarily, I mean, I still think that at the time, I think that Cage is better than him. I think currently that Anik Nokia is better than him. And I think that currently Lungi Ngidi is better than him. That's my opinion. What is your thoughts on that? Aditya, am I totally mad? And you guys can disagree with me in the comments.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it was unfortunate to see Kyle Abbott take the callback route after he basically lit up the stage against Australia in Australia, when South Africa went without Dale Steyn. Well, they went with Dale Steyn, who got injured, and they didn't have Abby de Villiers either. So the South Africans were the underdogs in that series, and to come out strong because of some key performances from Kyle Abbott was fantastic. But at the same time, it was bittersweet because he decided to go the callback route. But on the flip side, I feel for him because he was a really talented bowler, and bowlers have a short shelf life in cricket. So with Dale Steyn at his peak, Kyle Abbott was almost consistently, warming the bench.
Unfortunate for him.
And so, on the one hand, when you know that you're on your way to getting that spot in the international team, but you're never quite convinced about what might happen, because Dale Steyn at that point was injured, and I guess Abbott's perception would have been that as soon as Dale's fit again, he's going to be back in, and Abbott's going to be warming the benches again. So I think in the end, it was just too much uncertainty for him, and he felt like he would have made more money, which is obviously an important consideration for any cricketer, and he would have had more opportunity to blossom in county cricket. So I feel for him, it was unfortunate. He was too talented a bowler, and South Africa's lost eventually, because he would have been a key figure for them at the 2019 World Cup also. But I guess you can understand where he's coming from. But yeah, it's good. It's good that he's back in the South African system, and I'm sure Mark Boucher will have one eye set on Kyle Abbott to see if he can make a return back to international cricket. But we'll have to see.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, enjoy his performances.
Yeah, and look, I know, and people are going to say, like, for example, like someone like Duan Olivier is a guy that maybe would get in the team before Bjorn Hendricks and get in the team before Glenton Steerman and all of that. But I don't think he's the type of player that would want to sit on the bench. Lungi Ngidi, Kagiso Rabada, Andries Nokia is our quick bowlers. If you could add a little bit with a bat, maybe Duan Olivier would be in that side. But I mean, I think that all of you guys are calling for Vian Mulder as the number 7. All of you guys are calling for Kagiso Rabada will never be dropped. Andries Nokia, it's pace, and he's now brought a whole different dimension to his game. And Lungi Ngidi, who's proven that he can bowl really well with a new ball. And now we have to see how Lungi performs in the subcontinent, of course, and if he can produce the same amount over there. My thing with Kyle Abbott, and why I respect Kyle Abbott so much, is before Kyle signed the Kolpak, he went to the rest of the team and he spoke to them and he asked them for advice. He told them that this is what he was thinking. He said he didn't see himself getting an opportunity in the side with Dale there, coming back. Obviously, Dale came back from injury after a long time of injury, and Dale came back. He didn't see himself getting an opportunity with Kagiso over there. He didn't see his opportunity with Lungi coming through the system as well. He just didn't see a place for him to start regularly as he wants to. And that concerned him, and he spoke to the rest of the guys in the team, and they spoke to him, and they gave him their blessing, because they understand. Because signing a Kolpak, the amount of money you get is almost like signing a Proteas contract. It's almost like the same amount of money if you convert the pound to rand as well. So the decision is purely with money. With Riley Rousseau, however, I was in the press conference when Russell Domingo spoke about it. And he said that Kyle had tears in his eyes. Kyle cried when he was trying to make that decision. Kyle cried in the press conference when he wanted to leave. It was an emotional press conference. We all understood his decision, that he made it for his family, but he probably wasn't going to get the permanent Proteas contract, that the money would be better. It hurt him to leave. Riley Rousseau sent an email to Russell Domingo saying that he signed a contract overseas, and bye. That's it. He even spelled Russell Domingo's name wrong in the email. So that is the level of respect. That's why I respect Kyle Abbott a lot. Now, people talk about the Kolpak players. I feel that yes, Kolpak players coming back to South Africa will give us a lot of competition with either domestic scene, it will strengthen domestic scene, especially now that we're opening up to 15 teams. It will strengthen the domestic scene phenomenally. It will give guys a lot of experience, and it will teach them a lot. I'm so amped to see what Kyle Abbott will be able to teach to Tando Ntini, to Dayan Khalim, to those youngsters coming through at the Titans. I'm really excited to see what he can teach them. It's a pity that he doesn't get an opportunity to maybe go to another franchise where there's some other youngsters that we want to keep out, like maybe the Knights and Gerald Coetzee and all of that. But Gerald Coetzee has the best possible mentor he can have in Alan Donald. So I think that we're going to see a whole different ball game over there. It would be interesting. It would have been interesting to see what he would have done at the Dolphins, giving Lifa and Tanzi some interesting input. But I think he sees over there Darren Pavlin coming through the stage there as well. I think the Titans would have obviously offered him a lot more money. We'll see in the press conference tomorrow, of course, Aditya. But we can see that's my point on the Kolpak deals. It's not. I don't think it's transformation that kept him out of it. I think that there were better players in the Proteas setup, and they couldn't just see themselves getting into that Proteas team. I think that majority of them. I don't think Simon Armour is better than Keshav Maharaj. I think Keshav Maharaj is a better spinner. I'm sorry, that's what I believe. I think Keshav Maharaj can bat a lot better than Simon Armour too. So that's an extra factor that you have to add into Keshav Maharaj's arsenal as well. So the guys that we're talking about, that's. I mean, I loved Riley Rousseau. Riley Rousseau was the first selfie I took. When I saw him, guys, I don't recommend this to other journalists, but it was my first ever press conference I've ever attended, and Riley Rousseau was one of my favorite players at the time. And I asked him for obviously for a selfie, but I was really disappointed in the way that he left. And I would like to get him on here and to come give his side of the story, of course, and listen to what he has to say, because we want to tell the untold stories of South African cricket as well. I see that you want me to read some of your comments. Yes, I'm going to go into them. But guys, please, you can also get involved with the live super chat as well. So if you want your comments to be seen, because I can't go through all of them. There's so many at the bottom of here. But let's get into some of them now, Aditya. By the way, guys, I looked at Dwan Olivier's record in county cricket, and for Yorkshire, he played 18 matches. He averages 31.96, 57 wickets. Then for Derbyshire, he's played 7 matches. This is in first-class cricket now, guys. Averages 27 in 7 matches. So he hasn't really lit up the stage with regards to international cricket, towards county cricket. If he was lighting up the county scene, like especially in England, where the ball swings and does all fancy things there in England, right? So like it suits the bowlers there in England. I think we could have maybe considered him. We've got a youngster here. I can see Lizard Williams coming through the system. I want to see what Abbott does with Lizard. Whew. Lizard is one of the most underrated fast bowlers in South African cricket. Seriously, that boy, man, he's middle of that. Excellent bowler, aggressive, quick, consistent. I really want to see what happens with Lizard's career now that Kyle Abbott comes into the equation. We got over here, Riley chased money, bro. It's true. Is Abbott now eligible to play for the Proteas again? I don't think so. I'm not sure how that's going to work now. I think all the county contracts have fallen away now, Aditya. So he should be eligible, but I don't know if he signed an extra couple of years as an overseas player, maybe. You see, my thing is they only sign compact deals because they're not good enough to get overseas contracts. That's also my point of view, because the overseas contracts are obviously taken. There's only a certain amount of overseas players in the team that you can get, and if they are taken up by batsmen, majority of the time they're taken up by batsmen, because there's a slight lack in batsmen in England, I feel, and they obviously going to get some international teams to spread it out the batting orders and get it a lot stronger. So those type of things. If he did sign that deal, then we'll see. Shaib Zahir saying Dwan Olivier is a one-dimensional bowler. That's what I was talking about. Shahid Afridi hit for 5 sixes in like Premier League. So like Dwan Olivier, like, yeah, he's very good in Centurion and very good at the Wanderers on flat track, on quick, nippy tracks. I don't know how he'll bowl in India or in subcontinent conditions.
He's a Neil Wagner type of bowler, actually. You know, who bangs it in short, but you have to be, as in the international circuit, you have to be able to bowl in different conditions. That's your test. So Olivier's problem is that he can bowl brilliantly well at Centurion. He could bowl brilliantly well in New Zealand and Australia as well, but he won't be able to replicate that in England or in India, where the pitches require a different length. That's a challenge.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Now look, and we've seen how Andre Nokia has changed that about his bowling compared to how he bowled in India. He struggled a little bit there, and how he's changed when he went back to play in the IPL. My lord, the balls that he was delivering then. Obviously, it was in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, but obviously that was in Abu Dhabi, of course, the IPL. But I mean, the balls that he was bowling there. I don't know. Nokia has improved a hell of a lot in my eyes. I think what Sean Langeveld has done with him is excellent. Ashwani asking over here, can Rousseau deploy Olivier, Bedingham, Cohen come back into the system again? Now, I'll talk about Bedingham, Michael Cohen, and Deploy. They have signed contracts as overseas players, and and ancestral visas. They have ancestral visas, so they are signing they're signing contracts over there. They can actually sign normal contracts over there. I think that's how it works. I'll try to get them on the show again and let them explain what's happening over there, but I don't think they will come back because they're not Kolpak players. The rule around Kolpak players on the research that I've done is that you have to play 5 tests, I think, minimum, or 8 ODIs or 10 T20Is for your country before you can be considered as a Kolpak player. Because essentially what you're doing is you're signing away your rights to play for your country. That's ultimately what you're doing. You are saying basically that you're making a commitment, because otherwise England is signing you as an overseas player. Kolpak players is so that you can be, you are an overseas person, but you're considered as a local player. And that's the key over there that you guys need to understand. And if you have to have played a certain amount of games for your country already to get a Kolpak deal. But the Kolpak deals are now done, obviously, because of Brexit and all of that things. So that's why we're waiting to see who else is going to come back, because some of those Kolpak players might sign as overseas players if their county obviously considers them as good enough. Can we pick Kyle Verreynne for Pakistan? We must pick a big squad to be COVID. I think he will be in the squad. I don't think he will be out of it. I think that they are considering him as the next batsman in line for that number 6 position. I think they're also looking at him as the next keeper to obviously take over from Quinton the Kock. I think that's what they're looking at. I think that they will go with Zubair Hamza because of the way he batted in the subcontinent. He got a 60 against India in India. So I think he's a very good player of spin. So I do think they will consider him. But I also think that Keegan Peterson will be back in the side again. My thing is that I think that at the moment, when it comes to picking South African sides, I think the youngsters should get preference if they're good enough over more experienced guys, I feel. So like if you look at Lungi and Kyle, I would pick Lungi because Lungi has a little bit more legs on him. He can learn a lot more from the situation, play a lot longer. So between him and Kyle Abbott, for example, if I'm looking at it. If I look at it, Aiden Markram and Cyril Earvier, or Aiden Markram and Dominic Hendricks, or Aiden Markram and some of the other guys, openers, Peter Malan, I would take Aiden because of the longevity. He will learn from this experience. Aiden needs to go out in the middle and learn from these experiences. He should go to the subcontinent and learn. The only way he's going to learn. Jock Cullis didn't wake up and say, oh, I can score 200 in India. That's not how it works. He would have had to go there. He would have had to fail. That's how you learn from the experience. I hope that Aiden has learned a lot, because I saw in this particular series, he played the spin a lot better in this particular series than he did before. So I would like to see how he adapts his game. We need to make sure that we can do things better with regards to spinners, Aditya. Let's just get your final say. Wrap it up for us, Aditya. What are your final thoughts before we say bye to the guys?
Sure. So just to answer your question about how the Proteas play spinners, I think that will improve, and I don't think that'll be as much of a challenge in Pakistan, to be perfectly honest, because like Pakistan's wickets are not as abrasive as India or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh's wickets, where the ball's going to turn square. I don't think that's going to be the case in Pakistan. And even if that is the case, I think Pakistan just have Yasir Shah as their spinner, unless they pick an additional spinner. But other than that, I personally feel like the Proteas have the batting arsenal to be able to cope with the Pakistani bowling attack. Like one of their main bowlers, Mohammad Abbas, was bowling in the mid 120s against New Zealand right now. So I don't think that's going to bother Dean Elgar or Eden Markram or Faf du Plessis too much. And I think the most important bowler right now is Shaheen Shah Afridi, the tall lad, left-hander.
Love him.
Very good bowler. And Naseem Shah has just broken into the team. He's young and inexperienced, loads of talent, but again, I don't think he'll threaten the South African batsmen too much. With that said, it's going to be a fantastic learning experience, for the team to be going to a place that they really have no reference point for in recent times. But with that said, Pakistan don't have a reference point either. So I honestly feel like it's two teams playing in sort of alien conditions. And we'll see how it goes. But I feel like South Africa have the ammunition to be able to beat Pakistan.
Mm-hmm. So guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I'm just going to leave you with the one-day cup fixtures quickly. If you can see it on the screen. Actually, you can't really see it that badly. So I will share it with you guys later on. And thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. Please don't forget to obviously subscribe to this channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos. Guys, please get involved with the Patreons. Go to the Patreon link in the description and click on it so that you can become a patron and help us create better content. Come on this journey with us. That's what the whole point of the Patreon is. For you guys to come on this journey with us and grow with us so that you guys can also have a voice and have a place to be able to express your views and your thoughts. The link is in the description for that. If you guys want to download the latest issue of the magazine, it's free for you as well. We produce a lot of free content for you. The link is on the screen and in the description. We're busy working on the next edition right as we speak. Some very good insights into the longer format of the game. If you want to go for regular updates, go to cricketfanaticsmag.com. The link is on the screen over there for you. And if you have a business and you're looking to make sales online, even if a business is offline, you have to go to the free tutorial that's on our channel. Also, in future videos, guys, please get involved with the super chat. It will really help us as well to get some cash flow into this bootstrap business, because it's 100% bootstrapped. At the moment, we are an upcoming company and we're really trying to boost ourselves in this industry and make a place for us to be taken seriously in this industry. So thanks a lot to Aditya. Thanks a lot to all the guys in the comments. We'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care, everyone.